Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, the podcast covering all things soccer in the Queen City. So get in touch, soccer fans. Email us at feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Now, here's your host, Nick Suberly.
Hey, what's happening, Cincinnati Soccer Talkers? Welcome to episode 105 of CST. Glad you're with us tonight here on this lovely Monday evening. Hey, we've got another game of soccer to digest and recap. FC Cincinnati gets the win last week over Indy 2-1. And, of course, they got another friendly coming up this week, Tuesday night. That is tomorrow night, folks. We will be facing Northern Kentucky University there on the campus of NKU. So we're going to be visiting with head coach Stu Riddle from Northern Kentucky University here in just a few moments. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us tonight, you can. We'll be monitoring the Facebook and YouTube comments. You can get in touch with us on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk. And, of course, our email address is feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com.
Captains.
All right, we've got an episode captain this week. Let's give it up to Nate Hale. Nate, thank you so much for supporting Cincinnati Soccer Talk and wearing the armband for this episode of CST. If you want to learn more about wearing the armband for an episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, log on to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. All right, let's welcome in my cast of characters for this week. Hopefully this works because apparently we see two Yosefs in our little chat tonight. We're having some gremlins, but of course that was the laugh of the one and only Bill Wolf. Bill, welcome back to CST, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Yosef. We've got like multiple heads going on over here in our chat window. It's kind of cool. I know it's been great. You know, obviously back from Florida, back from Austin, lots of soccer out there. Went to Indy the other day and watched the game there, and finally get to watch one in, let's say, Cincinnati. For those elitists who don't think Kentucky is part of Cincinnati, I'm not going to deal with you, but it's a home game.
It is a home game, and they're going to be playing in the Tri-State for the first time, which will be good. And I'm sure a lot of folks will be out there. And I'm sure one of those folks will be Boston Brazel. Boston, welcome back to CST.
Hey, Subs. Yes, I'll be there. And looking forward to seeing this team again. Also went to Indy, hung out with Bill and Ken for a little bit, and had a great time with the fans that were there. Almost bailed on the show tonight. Someone on Twitter posted some Vegas odds on to win the United Soccer League Championship. Oh, my word, these are awful. I mean, just awful. North Carolina 7-1, one of the best teams out there according to Vegas. I don't know. We stole their two best players, so that one doesn't make any sense. Nashville 75-1. Who wouldn't put money on that? I mean, I don't think they'll win it, but you know it's coming from the East.
Wow, and we're off to a flying start here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. The new podcast is going to be Vegas Odds with Boston. Here on CST, so make sure you get some. I'm kidding, of course. Good to have you back, Boston.
Will you produce that show if I run it? Vegas Odds with Boston?
We'll see. And last but not least, we welcome back Yosef Sagai to the show. We think his technology is working on his end. He's sporting the brand new blue and orange kit. Yosef, what's going on, buddy?
Not too much, man. Not too much. Good to be back. I have had gone a long time without having a bout with the internet gremlins, so I figured I was due. But nonetheless, glad everything's up and running now. And as you were saying, I can't wait to actually get to see some soccer locally here. It's season's creeping up on us, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're going to be, as I mentioned, we're going to be joined by NKU head coach Stu Riddle here in about 5 minutes. To discuss Tuesday night's friendly, but there is a matter of that Indy XI friendly that went down last week in Indianapolis, and two of the guys here on this panel tonight were there. So, Boston, I'm going to start with you. We were half joking with you over the weekend because you were the man who was responsible for the recap at CST that didn't get written. I'm of course kidding, Boston. But what did you make of the match?
Well, it's on our website. It's just an Easter egg. You just have.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, you got to keep hunting till the mouse finds the right spot. No, I had a great time in Indy. Got to catch up with some long lost friends as well while I was over there. But I was impressed. You know, this is my first time seeing the team. I wasn't as special. CST didn't fly me down to Florida as much as I begged, and No, I was impressed. I loved both squads. I think Allen is going to have a heck of a chance putting a starting 11 on the field, and he made it very clear to us that the squads didn't mean anything. He was kind of just looking for pairs, what he calls pairings, and I know one that he was focusing on was Patty Berry and Forrest Lasso. Just kind of wanted to see how that back line holds, since Deco had the flu and was out. But the team looked good, especially on the attack, very possession based. Indy was not able to break down that midfield at all, which was amazing compared to last year. Only concern I saw was the back line holding off the counter, but I feel like a little more practice might be able to stop some of those.
I got to ask this question because obviously Bill and I had a chance to see him up close and personal down in Florida. But when you saw the team, from a physical standpoint, did they not look bigger compared to a year ago?
Oh yeah, yeah. These guys have some size and muscle. Like, what did Koenig do? He came out just he looks shredded compared to last year.
Yeah, that was something that jumped out to me when we were down in Florida, just the size. And I know you felt the same way, Bill.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and if you're looking at the back line, Forrest Lasso and Patty Barrett, both really large center backs in completely different ways. Forrest is just straight up, like strain your neck kind of tall, and Patty has shoulders that would put fear into anybody who was charging his way. In fact, at training today, it was kind of funny, but Cicerone had the ball and was like driving up the side, and Forrest like stepped in front of him, and I literally saw him hesitate, like, oh crap. And then of course Forrest got the ball, which is going to work really well for us.
So we got the thoughts of Boston on that Indy 11 friendly, Bill. You were there as well. What did you make of the match, and did anything really stand out to you?
A lot of what Boston said, I think is the key. The fact that the midfield is much stronger. We definitely are playing a very different style than we played last year. We saw last year a lot of long balls and trying to run to the ball, having players like GB up top. We did a lot more sort of traditional 9, kick the ball, hold up the ball, try to do something with it from the 9, doing kind of a hold up type style. This is a lot more fluid. We have some creative players on the team. We see a lot more possession in the midfield, a lot more possession in general. I would say we easily dominated possession in this game, but like Boston said, Indy was really tough in the counter. They were quick. They have some really good players, and we did struggle a little bit at times at that back line. Obviously, we gave up PK essentially because of that. They got past us, and Blake did what he needed to do, I guess, and drew the foul in the box, and they converted it. But I think it was good. It's really fun to see the guys. There's times where in the past, I think you felt like if we could get 2 or 3 passes, we were pretty happy. Now it's more like 5, 6, 7 passes. It's definitely, there's a lot more technical skill and possession capabilities in this team. It's gonna be fun to watch.
I know you didn't get a chance to watch it, Joseph, much like all of us here. And we have heard ad nauseum from Coach Koch over the preseason that the results don't matter. But this is a little bit of a different one. The fact that you had a lot of guys play, you had the 60-30 split as far as the playing time goes. Can you make or draw anything from this match, even though you were watching it on Twitter like the rest of us?
I would say that there's a lot to. While the result itself, the 2-1 victory, doesn't matter as much. With as deep as this team is, we're going to be super competitive as far as playing time. So I think it's actually incredibly important to watch. We saw a few players like Nas and Boehner and even Danny Koenig, who I thought would be playing in the quote-unquote starting role to start out. But the mix of playing time, I think everyone's getting a chance, and I think there will be a lot of time to spread around as the season goes along, especially if we make deep runs in other competitions. But I mean, it's Indy 11, and we're hoping to see this as a rivalry that parallels Louisville. So getting even a preseason victory over them is a good way to start off the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, too, and I know the results don't matter. They won't matter Tuesday night either when they take on NKU. But really, it's about momentum, right? It's about building upon each little block that they've set out for this preseason. So they not beat the Revolution. They drew the Revolution in a game I thought was really well played. Look, they got the win against the Rowdies. Here they are again. They got another win. And, winning breeds success. It builds on that confidence, which is exactly what you're going to need with that early slate for FC Cincinnati. So I know it's just a preseason friendly, and it's an Indy 11 team that we're not sure where they're going to fall in the Eastern Conference. But, hey, at this point, wins are wins, and they'll take them any way they can get them here for FC Cincinnati in the preseason. All right, as we mentioned, Tuesday night, FC Cincinnati is going on the road despite being in their hometown just across the river there at Northern Kentucky University. They're taking on the Norse in a friendly, and joining us now on the King's Hammer hotline is the head coach of Northern Kentucky University, Stu Riddle. Stu, welcome to CST. How are you?
Great, thank you. Good evening. Thanks for having me on this evening.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about this friendly. I know you had a chance to go see FC Cincinnati play down at IMG earlier this month. I know it was just the one match, but when you saw them, what did you make of them?
Well, I got the chance to see them during the week as well. My assistants and I drove up to Indianapolis to see them. And we probably would have done that even if we hadn't been playing them tomorrow. But completely different than last year. I think, from a fan and a season ticket holder's perspective, I think Coach Koch last year put a formation and a system of play out there to try and get his best 11 players on the field. And what we're seeing now is he's gone and recruited the types of players that he wants to play the style of football that he wants. And I was extremely impressed in both matches that I've seen so far.
So as a coach of a college squad, knowing you're going up against a group like this, it's a professional group. How do you prepare your guys for a game like this?
Well, look, we've been making it very clear that I think everyone's expecting it to be one-way traffic. I mean, FCC have been in camp now for 4 weeks, and it will be their fourth game, whereas we haven't played since November. I think what we've got to focus on is looking at the fantastic opportunity that we've got to play against some top professional players, and whatever the result may be, it's something that we need to use as experience and draw on to make ourselves better moving forward, whether that's in preparation for Louisville City on Saturday or something that we can draw on during the fall season and remind ourselves on what we learned that evening. So it's just a really exciting proposition for everyone involved with the program, and we're very fortunate to get this opportunity.
Hey, Stu, Boston here. I had the privilege of working with the Cincinnati Dutch Lions last summer and got to see that gem of a stadium you guys have down there. Is that something special, that helps you guys' club, especially at NKU, even with recruiting? Can you tell our fans maybe that have never been why that place is so special?
Look, I think there's three components when you're looking at positions. And when the NKU job opened, and I didn't really know a great deal about the history of the program until I started researching and realized that, they'd been extremely successful at the Division II level and had struggled a little bit since they made that transition. But the three things that I sort of look at when I'm looking at potential other openings are the facility, the location, and then the support from the university, and then maybe a little bit further afield of that is the conference that they're in. So when you look at the facility that we've got, it's got to be up there in the top 20 in Division I programs in the country. The fact that it's soccer specific, it was a $6.5 million facility that was put in 2010. It's just incredible. The location, as we all know, and that's why we're having this conversation right now, soccer in this community is absolutely booming. And, they made it very clear during the interview process that soccer was a sport that they wanted to support on campus. And the previous two institutions that I've been at had ice hockey at Western Michigan. We had, obviously, football at both Western Michigan and Buffalo. We didn't have that here, and obviously men's basketball and women's basketball are doing extremely well right now. But, we are a sport that's up the top of the pecking order. So you throw that facility on top of that, and it becomes an attractive proposition for a coach. It becomes an attractive proposition for a recruit, especially, when you're in a conference that I felt had an awful lot of parity.
Well, I want to ask you too about recruiting, Coach, because, obviously, the tri-state soccer community has really experienced a pretty big boom over the last few years, in large part due to FC Cincinnati. Does it make your job recruiting easier? Is this something that you could, you could say to recruits like, hey, you can come watch FC Cincinnati matches, be a part of the atmosphere? Is it something you have used in your recruiting pitch?
Yeah, it is. I think we've been kind of fortunate with our relationship with the club. My assistant coach, Blair Stevenson, played for Dan McNally at Montana State Billings College. So and Blair was with me at Buffalo. So when we got here, we sort of had an in with FCC, but they've been fantastically supportive of the fact that we're in Northern Kentucky, and they want to branch out into that area in terms of their supporter base as well. But certainly in terms of recruitment, the fact that we do have this relationship and we get the opportunity to play them on an annual basis where some other schools may not get that chance certainly helps us.
So you've mentioned that you have a really good relationship with FCC, and obviously, get to play these friendlies with them annually. Do you envision coming out of this relationship? You see growing this relationship with FCC, and where do you see it going?
Well, it's hard to tell. I think in an ideal world, I get to the point where we're recruiting top-level players that want to be professionals here at NKU. I can tell you right now, we've got a group of guys that are going to try and put their name on the map tomorrow. But certainly moving forward, we want guys that want to be professional players. And if things go the way that we're all hoping they go for FCC here, hopefully in upcoming months, and they get that MLS bid, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to recruit top players that are right on the doorstep of the club. And at that point, it's very easy for the scouts and the coaching staff at FCC to see those types of players.
So you also mentioned Buffalo just a minute ago, and you talked about the relationship with Dan McNally and your assistant coach. But there's another relationship, as I understand from Buffalo, talking to you down at IMG. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about Cicerone?
Yeah, it stretches back a fair while. Russell's sister, Anina, was one of the best ever female players to play at Western Michigan. And I'll never forget, I think it might stretch back to, let me think here, 6 or 7 years ago now, when I was recruiting at an event in Michigan State, and Varda's Youth Academy was playing a match there, and I noticed that Russell's sister at the time was at the match, and I recognized her because she was on the ladies' team at Western Michigan. And when I got the team's roster, I saw Cicerone was listed, and sort of thought, oh, that must be her brother, and didn't really give it a second thought. And it wasn't until about 3 or 4 games later in that spring season of watching Russell, I thought, I kind of like something about this kid. And we started communicating in the recruiting process, and there wasn't a lot of other interest at that time. And we actually got Russell committed to come and play at Western Michigan. And then when I took the job at Buffalo, he was one of 7 players that actually essentially decommitted and came with me to Buffalo and went on to have an absolutely incredible career at Buffalo, and then obviously got drafted last year at Portland Timbers, and now ends up at a place where I'm really happy he is. So he's an exceptional player, and I hope he gets the chance to showcase his talents to the coaching staff and get the confidence of the coaching staff and get to show the FCC fans exactly what I know he can do.
So big night tomorrow night. If you're listening to our podcast tonight, what are you, as a fan of FC Cincinnati, but also a coach at NKU, looking to get out of this match?
Well, as a fan, I'd like to see Russell score a couple of goals. But
well, Coach, you've seen him score a pretty spectacular one. Do you want to tell folks about his spectacular goal?
Well, yeah, I think it stretches back 3 or 4 years now. We went to double overtime in a match against Bryant at UB Stadium, which is vastly different than the facility that we'll play in tomorrow night. It was a big 35,000-seat football stadium with a track around it, and it's quite an interesting story to this, actually, because we were 2-1 up with a minute left, and they had gone and equalised, and it sort of took the stuffing out of us. And we went into extra time, and I said to Russ, who was the captain at the time, look, let's go with the wind and try. And it was really stormy, and the wind was coming. I said, let's try and capitalize on this and get the winning goal in the first overtime period. And we didn't, but something strange happened where the wind started swirling, and it came back the other way. And it's hard to believe, but it was the case. And the trainers then came on and said, look, we've got about a minute here before we're going to have to call this game, because we're checking the radars, the lightning's coming in. And there we are. I said, look, go on, have a go straight from kickoff. They're going to call it in about a minute anyway, so you've got nothing to lose. And up stepped Russ, and I don't know if you've seen the video, but he goes and smashes it from halfway off the underside of the crossbar and in, and we ended up getting the 3-2 win, which was, at the time, just incredible. I think it actually eclipsed Khalil Mack's signing in the NFL in terms of YouTube views at Buffalo, which is incredible.
Yeah, I did manage to find a clip of that, and it was remarkable. I don't know how the keeper gets beat. How does the keeper get beat from that far out, guy? That was remarkable. I know it was a heck of a shot, but oh man, I kind of feel bad for that keeper.
Well, he probably didn't know it was coming, and truth be told, the wind was absolutely howling, straight in line. So it took a pretty hefty increase in pace, and he probably just couldn't react in time.
Well, we'll get you out of here on this, and Boston kind of alluded to it a moment ago. But talk about how excited you are. What's the anticipated attendance looking like for tomorrow night's game? Is everybody buzzing down at NKU, ready for this one?
Yeah, it's been really good. It really has. I think they capped it at 1,400 in terms of what the facility can hold realistically, and all going to plan. We're going to get a full house there tomorrow, so we're really excited. It looks like it's going to be nice weather, which you never can anticipate at this time of year, as you know. But hopefully we can get a nice blend of FCC fans and North fans, and maybe get some smoke, orange and blue smoke going, and make a really good atmosphere for both teams.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Coach, I think you should relay this to your players as well. I end every show with watch your tackles, so make sure you say that to your guys tomorrow night, okay?
Hey, as a season ticket holder, of course I will.
Appreciate you.
Except on Saturday. You can go gung-ho on Saturday.
Absolutely. You can let your guys have free reign Saturday when you play Louisville. Well, we appreciate you being with us, Coach. Have fun tomorrow night, and we're looking forward to having you back on the show again and getting your thoughts on not just FC Cincinnati, but the Norse's seasons as well.
Thank you ever so much for having me. We'll see you tomorrow night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's head coach Stu Riddle from Northern Kentucky University joining us here on the Kings Hammer Hotline. It's going to be a fun one tomorrow night down at NKU, so you won't want to miss that. Too bad there won't be a stream, but FC Cincinnati fans should be used to that by now. On that note, it's time we thank our awesome supporters. I got to give it up to Tim Bronsel with King's Hammer, Matt Adamchick, Mama Subes, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Mike Hudson, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Jesse Gill, Kathleen Francis, Jesse King, and Teresa Everidge. Thank you so much for your awesome, tremendous support of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. If you want to support the show, you absolutely can. Log on to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. Now, many of you might be tuned in tonight because we are giving away 2 tickets to the home opener against Louisville City coming up on April 7th. We will announce that winner a little bit later on in the show. In the meantime, FC Cincinnati announced the signing of a new striker, the much-anticipated arrival of Oluwatomi. Yeah, I'm out. Tomi Amiobi is his name. Trying to say his first name was going to be next to impossible. So Tommy G, you got your work cut out for you this summer. Tomi Amiobi, he joins from FC Edmonton. Has had a interesting playing career over in Europe, in England. I think he played for Newcastle at some point, Scunthorpe United. This is a pretty big signing for the club, Bill.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, not to get into the whole political thing with Tommy Heineman, but we had a big striker named up top and lost him. So we definitely needed another physical presence up there. Tommy is 6'3", so he's definitely got some height and is going to, take care of us up top. So, I think he's maybe a little different style player than we're used to. At least what I've seen so far, I haven't seen a lot of hold-up play from him. It's been a lot of, skill and running on the ball and shooting with foot and obviously, heading some balls in, but not as much of the hold-up play, the physical kind of style we saw from GB.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you didn't get a chance to see him in Indy because the signing was so close to that match. But from a physical aspect, Bill, and you probably saw him today at training. Is he a big Does he have a big physical physicality to him? Did I lose Bill? I lost Bill. I think I also lost Joseph. No, Joseph's still there. Bill, are you back with us? Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he is frozen.
I'm back.
stuck again.
Can you hear me?
Okay, Boston. You had a chance to see Tomi in person. What did you see? Does he look? Is he a physically imposing gentleman?
He's extremely tall, but I wouldn't say he's got like a GB type of build because I don't think that's true at all. I like the signing. He comes to us from FC Edmonton, and he scored 21 goals. So I haven't had a chance to see him play yet. So I've just been watching his highlight reels, and I think that he's going to be a great center. You got to consider that we have a midfield unlike most teams in the USL, and so these guys, whether it's Danny or Tomi, sitting up there, I think these guys are going to get some balls, and the forward, honestly, that makes the most of their chances will be the starter, in my opinion. I don't see anyone clearly starting at the moment.
Wow, you don't have anybody penciled in at starter at forward right now, Boston.
I can. It's just I think that over these next few, especially home preseason games, if I was Alan Koch, I would stick somebody in the number 9 role who produces the most from the balls in from that midfield.
Matt Atkins, Mr. Funny Guy on YouTube, asks, does Tomi Amiobi bite people? That's hilarious.
I think, cross your fingers, fans. I think we're clear on the biting this year.
And then Brandon Ramey responded with only against Louisville. Oh, God. That is never going to end. And it really should. It really should. I think we should move on from that. Joseph, are you excited about this signing?
I am. I think, as Bill alluded to, there is a disappointment from losing Tommy Heineman. But Tomi feels like a Koch guy. I mean, his pedigree speaks for itself as far as where he's played prior to this. And in a pinch, I think we did very well. I'm on the same page as Boston in that between Welshman, Tomi, Koenig, I mean, I don't know who is going to see the most playing time, but the service that they're going to be getting from the midfield is going to be incredible. So I'm hoping for the best from him, and I think a nice big strong striker that we can have service through the air or on the ground utilized well with is going to be huge for us, because he's a nice mix. I mean, he's certainly got physical presence, but he isn't a slouch with the ball at his feet. So,
all right, Bill, I'm going to come back to you. We're going to find out if this works or not. If you had to pencil in a starter, Boston says he can't do it right now. If you had to pencil in a starter to play the number 9 spot for FC Cincinnati, who are you leaning towards?
Today, I would go with Emery Welshman, just because I think he's had more time with the team. I watched training today, and he got a lot of potential, but you can tell he's just maybe a step out from the other guys. He doesn't quite have the same level of understanding that I think Emery does, having played with them for 3 weeks now and 3 games now. So, I think a lot of this is, especially when you get into these possession games, is going to be about timing and understanding and knowing what the other guy's going to do, and that'll come. So I think it's going to be exciting. But right now, I'd put Emery in that spot.
So you're going with Emery, who played well. I thought he played well in the first friendly against the Revs. We didn't see him against Tampa Bay. So you're going with Emery. Anybody here going to put their money on Koenig? Bueller? Joseph? You going to take her? No.
No. I think it'll be Welshman once he gets more acclimated. But I think that Koenig will probably have a ton of appearances this year as a
super sub.
Yeah, I think he's going to fit really well in that role, especially because of his work rate coming off the bench, kind of like what we saw with like how they used Jimmy in the Open Cup last year. That's kind of what the correlation or similar comparison I would make, I guess.
And my guess is if we are going to see Koenig for a match, his work rate, you're right, Joseph, it was high last year, but you're only going to get that for about 60 of those minutes. So do you take 60 minutes of Koenig busting his butt, or do you take 30, 25 minutes of, giving it his all when a defense is getting gassed? Boston, you're shaking your head. You kind of agree with that?
Well, some matches, I really think you start Danny. 60 minutes he's good for 60 minutes. We saw him come in. There was a couple games last year where Koch used him as the 30-minute sub or the 15-minute sub, and I just felt like he didn't get enough ramp up, to be as productive in that time. Is he going to be great off the bench? I don't know. I think a guy like Toomey might be better in that role. I'd like to see him start games whenever Welshman doesn't. If you guys are right about Welshman starting.
We shall see, but that's one of the beautiful things. You want to add something, Bill?
Yeah, I was going to say, I just, and in Boston, you were there. I just kind of come back to that first 5 minutes at Indy when we were almost up 1-0. I mean, the way that ball came into Emery with back to goal, and I mean, he just spun, 180 degrees and just fired it into the corner of the goal, and ended up basically taking out their keeper for the game. I dislocated his shoulder trying to save the ball. And I mean, that kind of, just awareness of goal amazes me with him. And down in Florida, Nick, maybe you remember, but it seemed to me like Emery was willing to put any part of his body on the ball if it would head towards the goal. I mean, we saw him head, we saw him on feet, we saw him knee, we saw him sliding in, a heel, anything that he could stick out there and redirect the ball, he would do it, which I'm pretty impressed with. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say, one of the things that really stood out to me in that Revolution game, which unfortunately, fans, you didn't get to see this, but his ability to receive the ball with his back to the defense, to turn, and then really just split the gap and run by guys on the back line. And that's something we haven't really seen a whole lot of with FC Cincinnati since inaugural season. So I'm really looking forward to the pace that Welshman brings. Obviously, he's not going to play every game, and that's why you need the depth. So the signing of Tomi Ameobi is a big one. We're going to see Koenig. You could probably put some other players up there as well. My guess is Ledesma at some point this year might end up playing forward. You just never know. That's the nice thing. Flexibility. Again, I feel like
Tomi
say that
is
word
supposed
all
to
the
have
time.
a lot of pace too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how he progresses, blending in with this team and becoming more aware of what's going on, and getting into the style that Alan Koch has developed for this team. Like I said, it seems very different so far. I've not seen a lot of hold up, long balls and hold up play like we saw last year. I think we're going to see a lot more possession, more of the beautiful game, as people like to say.
And as Tina Harris says on Facebook, she says they are all brilliant. So there you go. So we'll see. It's going to be fun summer watching these forwards battle it out there on the turf at Nippert Stadium, and of course throughout practice all season long. So that is the new signing, Tomi Ameobi. To learn more about the newest signing, you can head over to our website, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, to learn more about Tomi Ameobi. Should I give the full name a try again one more time?
Yeah, do it, because I actually have Vegas odds on whether you can do it or not.
Oh, okay. Boston already talking smack to me. Okay. Oluwatomiwo. I got it. Nailed it. Boom. So there you go. Oluwatomiwo. Done. That's 2 in a row. There you go, Tommy G. I've challenged you. Hopefully you Tommy will nail it. We know he will. Let's talk about Tuesday night's game. NKU. Obviously, this is let's do the math, carry the 1. This would be the 4th friendly for FC Cincinnati this preseason. The good news is, and we found out today or recently, that Josu just made it through his first full practice. I don't know if that means we will see him at NKU. My guess is we may see him for a brief introduction, very similar to what we saw with Jimmy McLaughlin against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who got approximately 15 minutes at the end of that match against the Rowdies. But Josu's back to full strength. And as far as we can tell, from an injury perspective, I don't think that there's anybody that won't be playing Tuesday night from as far as injuries perspective. If I don't know if there's another illness that happens, but
Tyler Gibson.
Well, I think we can kind of rule that out for a little while, of course. But let's talk about what you're expecting to see Tuesday night against NKU. I'll start with you, Yosef. First of all, are you going to be able to go to the match?
I am not. I got some wires crossed and am working. I didn't schedule properly. I was kind of banking on the stream that we later found out isn't going to happen, but I'm absolutely stoked that a lot of people will be getting their chance to see their first in-person view of the team. And like you said, everybody's back. I know Josu will probably be super limited if he plays at all. Everybody's back, sans Gibson, of course, as you said. But now that we have a full roster at our disposal, I think we're going to see everybody get a little bit of playing time, whether it be a half or like the 60-30 that we split that we saw in Indy. But it'll be a good chance for everyone to get their feet wet, I think.
It sounds like we're also going to see Deco back, who will be who was obviously suffering from the flu last week, so that's a good sign. Apparently, Danny Koenig, if only I would have read the show notes that somebody added to this tonight. I think that was Bill Wolf. Apparently, Danny rolled his ankle, but he did drills, but not 11-11. We'll evaluate for tomorrow. So I bet I just stole Bill's point. What do you want to see Tuesday night against NKU, Bill?
What do I want to see? Another win, of course. Some goals, maybe less PKs this time. But no, I think more of what we've been seeing, which is just the team increasing pace, increasing fitness, getting more playing time. As far as not everybody, obviously, because there's the same amount of playing time, but giving that each group more time, literally on the field, so that we know that they're getting match fit. At Indy, they did this weird thing where they did 3 30-minute thirds or whatever. Yeah. And, I kind of assumed at the time that was FCC requesting that. Alan Koch had made that request because, we played 60 and 30. And it was like, oh, okay. So, we do 2 30s and then we do another 30 for the last group. And, oh, that all makes sense. We must have done that. And then Indy actually switched at the 45-minute break. So they switched midway through the second 30. Well, basically, that was not our request. That was something Indy decided to do, and I don't exactly understand why. I could speculate. It's not worth speculating. But Alan wants these guys fit. He wants them to be able to do 45 minutes without a break. So, at the NKU game, there'll be 2 45s. You're going to see a group play 45 and then a little bit of the next 45 before he substitutes in a second group. And I think, I just want to see how the guys kind of progress fitness-wise, make sure that they can stand up to it, and I'd like to see the game continue to speed up and a lot of good possession.
How about you, Boston? Is there anything in particular that stands out to you from what you saw last week against Indy that you want to see maybe improved this week against NKU?
Yeah, I really, really am looking forward to seeing Deco back there with Lasso. I got to see Patty Barrett play a lot in Indy. And I think this time around we'll get to see a good amount of Deco, hopefully. And that pairing to me will shine a lot of light on how that back line is going to do this season. I'm guessing, I didn't get a chance to ask Stu this, but I'm guessing that NKU is going to try to stay in more of a defensive shell. It's usually that was our strategy in the Open Cup. Usually a team strategy when they're going against, I guess, a superior opponent, and so that leaves it's going to be a very, I think, similar style game to Indy. That's going to leave NKU with the quick counter, and we need to be tested against that. So I'm looking forward to that lineup.
Yeah, Boston, you mentioned pairings, and of course, Alan has made a big deal about that in all of his discussions with us and post games as well. And the one pairing that I'm very interested to see, they actually had it at training today, and that's Richie Ryan and Nazmi. Those two, basically Ryan only played 30 minutes at Indy, and Nas played the last 30 minutes at Indy. So the two never were on the same field at the same time. And I'm very interested to see how they each, work together. And at training today, it looked pretty promising.
Yeah, what's funny? I kind of want to see that group that we saw in the first half against the Revolution kind of get another run together. I thought they played really well that day, having Corbin in a more advanced role in midfield, having Nas playing really the box-to-box with Kenny kind of sitting back as the number 6 at that point. You could actually maybe plug and play Richie in there to see how he would do with Nas, see how he would do with Corbin. But I really like that first group that played against the Revs. Maybe, Alan gives them another run to see what they can do together again. And that, I believe, the only difference in that group is Forrest that day, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, didn't he start with, was it No, who was it at center back with him in that first half? I think it was Sem.
Yeah, I think so. I think they were doing Patty and Deckel, and then Sem and Lasso. I think you're right.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's what I want to see Tuesday night against NKU. Should be a fun one. Of course, obviously no stream. I know you're all disappointed, but it's a good chance for FC Cincinnati to get out there in front of its home fans, even though it is across the river, but it is the tri-state. So really looking forward to that. And then we've got another game coming up next weekend. I can't believe it's here already. Let's talk a little bit about that match. And I guess we can kind of tie that in to the newest segment on CST, Boston's Gambling Ways. Why don't we talk about that? So I guess Vegas came out today with the odds for USL champions, and FC Cincinnati is sitting at 20-1 odds, if I'm correct.
Yep, and Nashville 75-1.
And that's the same Nashville that FC Cincinnati will be facing this weekend, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of USL, experts have pegged Nashville as top 5. I know we put our own rankings out, and we had them pretty high as well. And I think we had them somewhere around 4th, 5th, or 6th. I can't remember, but man, I just can't see him missing the playoffs, which is what a 75-1 odds would show.
Who does William Hill have as the favorite to win the USL championship right now? I believe I saw the Monarchs at 11-2.
I think it is the Monarchs.
Yep.
And
they have a lot of Western teams up high.
And what have the Monarchs done this offseason to improve themselves? Anybody? Bueller?
They I don't pay attention a lot to the West, but I know they kept a couple great players back, and then their first team always does a great job of bringing in enough talent that they can stock that. And I listened to another podcast, I think it was the USL show, where they had another podcaster that covers the Monarchs on there, and he seemed to think that it was going to be a really strong team again this season. The West is just a different animal. Usually you have 2 or 3 alpha dogs out there, and they just gobble up everybody.
Yeah, we'll have to post on our social media on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk the updated odds. Not that we condone gambling here on this family-friendly podcast. No, I think FC Cincinnati 20-1, Tampa Bay 12-1. Where did they have Louisville, Boston?
They were second.
Second?
Yeah, Louisville second at 6-1, which I understand. You're talking about a championship team that kept a lot of their roster. if you're Vegas, you're just trying to go with the steady hand there. San Antonio 7-1, Reno 7-1, and then the just mind blower. I mentioned it at the top of the show is North Carolina FC at 7-1.
This is the same North Carolina FC that just lost two, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, two guys that were in the best 11 last year in NASL. Was Lang in the best 11?
He was 2 years ago.
Okay, but still he's a good player. We've already seen the impact of him already this preseason for FC Cincinnati. So you get Lang and you get Nazmi Abadawi off of North Carolina. I don't think that they necessarily replace that talent. So I don't know where they're getting the 7-1 odds for North Carolina FC, but that's why it's Vegas. They seem to know everything. So make that. Hey, if you're a betting man, 20-1 odds on FC Cincinnati. Those are some pretty good odds, right, Boston? I mean, I don't get the odds. I don't know how it all works. I'm not a gambling guy, other than the craps table. Yeah, you're gonna put some money down, some hard-earned Brazil dollars.
Well, if I could get out there in time, I would. I think that really a lot of these Eastern teams are out of place. For some reason, Vegas seems to think the championship's coming through the West this year, judging by these odds. And until the West proves they can win a championship, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I disagree as well. I think it's coming from the East. I think there are 4 teams in the East that I think are going to be really threatening for that USL title this year.
Well, I think the other thing is like, I mean, the level of the USL has just increased, and most of what I'm seeing, maybe it's just my own, red glasses or whatever, but it seems like the Eastern Conference has just raised the bar even further, which to me feels like it's going to be even harder for a Western team to come through. I mean, I was looking through the pre-games, right? And, Tampa beat the Philadelphia Union, Charleston beat Minnesota, Nashville beat Orlando, Charleston tied Atlanta, Nashville tied Chicago. These are USL teams having significant preseason, admittedly.
And FC Cincinnati, FC Cincinnati drew the Revs.
Drew the Revs, exactly. So these are significant, preseason results against MLS teams from the USL. And, I think the level of the USL has just notched up, and those are Eastern teams. So there's a lot of good talent.
I think it's coming through the Eastern Conference this year. I'm not sure. I don't know who it is sitting behind the desk there at William Hill that is the expert on the United Soccer League, but I guess that's why they're preseason odds, and I'm sure those will change midway through the year. Of course, the house always wins, right, Boston?
House always wins.
Let's talk about the friendly coming up, though, against Nashville. This is going to be played at Gettler Stadium at UC. Bill, you have some information regarding how that friendly may be played by Coach Koch?
Yeah, I talked to Alan today, and he said that continuing the progress he's made. Right, he started off with 2 groups doing 45 minutes each, and then he picked for the last game with Indy, he went to 60 minutes and 30 minutes. He kind of talked about this game coming up tomorrow, that it's going to be 60-30 again, probably roughly flipping the groups from the Indy game so that everybody's getting similar playing time. When he gets to the Nashville game, he needs to move his guys forward. I mean, he's happy with the progress they're making. He's happy with their fitness level, but he needs to start pushing these guys to make sure that they're match ready and fit. So he's looking more like at a 70-20 split. So it's going to start to feel more and more like a true soccer game. Obviously, he's still going to do a wholesale substitution like he's been doing, but it's not going to be like, guys playing short bits and then another group of guys coming in and playing short bits. It's going to be, especially that first 70 minutes, it's going to feel pretty much like a standard soccer game, the way he's going to lay it out. Everybody's going to just be in playing.
So if you're heading down to the preseason friendly coming up on Saturday against Nashville, you're going to see a group go a long way in that match. So get down there. It's going to be a good time there Saturday. Hopefully the weather cooperates. We know how the weather is in Ohio in early March, but hopefully it'll cooperate tomorrow night against the Norse there at NKU as well this weekend against Nashville. We did get this question tonight here on YouTube from Brandon Ramey. He wants to know how many from the eventual 2018 USL Best 11 are currently on this FC Cincinnati roster. It's a tough question without having seen them play against a full squad or a full match. But Bill, you had an answer right away.
I always do that, right? I just throw out a decisive answer, like I know what I'm talking about, and everybody believes I do. So yeah, when the question came out in our internal chat group here, I just said 3, just to qualify this. And I don't know which one he's talking about. I'm sure he's thinking about the best 11, but USL actually announces like a top and a second best 11. They actually do 22. So the reason I said 3 was I thought, well, out of 22 players, certainly we can get 3. And the other thing is that I think we potentially could get more, but I just don't see the USL doing that. Right. I feel like they're going to want to spread it out, even if we dominate, even if we go, 34-0, we're not going to have 10 guys on the best 11. They're going to find other players so that they can give everybody some recognition. But as far as the 3, let's see. I would say Manu is going to be in that list. I'm going to go Richie Ryan, and we'll put Forrest Lasso back on for a second time.
All right.
Lasso at the repeat. Like I was going to criticize you if you didn't say it.
Yeah.
All right. So Bill's throwing out the gauntlet early on as far as season predictions for best 11. Joseph, I'm putting you on the spot, man. Who you got? Can you top Bill?
I agree with Bill in the sentiment that it's going to be 3. I'm going Manu, Nas, and Lasso are the fun. And I think we may have more who deserve it, but I think that the spine of this team is going to be through those 3 players, especially Manu on the wing. So, I mean, you drew a couple players from the NASL best 11 last year. I think we'll be good there, and I think they'll get a lot of playing time as well.
So we have seen in the past where an FC Cincinnati goalkeeper has been part of the best 11. In year 1 with Mitch, at least I think he was on the best 11 that year. It was hard to top him. I mean, he was the goalkeeper of the year, so I would hope that he was in the best 11. Boston, are you gonna go out on a limb and put a goalkeeper in your best of 11 for FC Cincinnati?
I think it's safe to say that they would be up for consideration. Now, if we have a heavy attack year where we're putting balls in the back of the net like nobody's business, then the goalkeeper's not going to make it, just because they're gonna grab more midfielders and attackers. But if it's a 1-0 type of season, then I could see Newton or Richie Ryan, or sorry, not Richie Ryan, but Spencer Richie making it. I would throw Welshman in, or whoever the starting guy in number 9 is, because I think this is a team that's going to make that number 9 look good, no matter who's up there.
Fair enough. I think I'm going to throw, as far as my best 11 candidates, I'm gonna top you, all 3 of you. I'm gonna go with 4. FC Cincinnati gets 4 on the best 11. I think it'll be Lasso. I think it'll be Lang. I think Lang's going to have a huge year for this team. I'm also going to go with Manu. And I think Nas. I think he's going to have a big year as well. So we'd love to hear your thoughts, though, FC Cincinnati fans. Who out of the current roster do you think will make the best 11 for the USL at the end of the year? Make sure you email us, feedback@cincinnati-soccer-talk.com. Of course, you can also send us your tweets at Cincy Soccer Talk. All right, it's time to get down to our ticket giveaway and our winner. So this week, we put it out on social media that that we would be giving away 2 tickets to the FC Cincinnati home opener against Louisville City FC. All you had to do was enter by going to our Facebook page and tagging 2 of your friends. And after a random drawing, we have to say congratulations to the winner of the very first ticket giveaway we've done here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, to the one and only Danny Lang Jr. Danny, congratulations. You won 2 tickets. I will be in touch with you here this evening, and we'll get you your tickets. So congratulations. Thank you very much for entering, Danny. And thank you to everybody who went out and entered our contest as well. We will be doing a few ticket giveaways throughout the next few weeks here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So make sure you get liked on our Facebook page, get liked on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk, and of course, get liked on Instagram at Cincy Soccer Talk as well. Can't believe we're already at the top of the hour. This hour has absolutely flown by. I believe it's time we begin to wrap things up. We get our final thoughts. I'll start first with Yosef Sagai. Yosef, welcome back, man. I know you've been busy, but it was good having you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back on. I guess my final thought would go just out to all the people I guess we've missed over the past few months here. I know when soccer season is out of form, we don't see each other a lot, but I'm very excited to get back into the FCC community a bit more so, and ready to watch some real actual soccer on the pitch. I mean, it's going to be huge, and I think we're going to have a great start with getting to see them play at NKU and then play at Gettler in Nashville. Hopefully it's warmer than it was the last time we went to Gettler for a game, because I almost froze to death that day. So we'll see. But very, very excited for the season. I think the jerseys coming out kind of put everything into perspective that, hey, this is actually about to kick off here.
Will there be free pizza for Yosef at the game Saturday?
Oh, free? I don't know. I guess that's kind of out of my control. I don't know.
Oh, I love just bringing that up.
Shout out to Mike Hudson who DM'd me that he saw the Donato's lady at who works a side gig at Kroger and said she missed me. So.
Oh, that's so funny. Good to have you back, buddy, and I'm looking forward to hanging out at FCC games this year.
For sure, man. Can't wait.
Let's go over to now Boston, Brazil. Boston, your final thoughts as we begin to wrap up episode 105?
Yeah, just a few news-based items. Looks like FC Cincinnati did get some $4 million in capital budget money from Hamilton County. I'm sorry, from the state of Ohio for Hamilton County. If for some reason the bid is for naught, then that money would be redistributed to other Hamilton County projects.
And this just came down the pike.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice win for the team. Shows that this, not just the local level, but the state's involved. Wanted to remind fans, I noticed today on FC Cincinnati's website that there is not a lot of streams for these preseason games. I think Nashville is the only one that says stream to be determined. Right now, Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati is a no stream, and surprisingly, Sacramento Republic has a no stream. So buy those tickets, because this may be your only chance to see them.
Good stuff, Boston. As always, appreciate you being with us.
Glad to be back.
And last but not least, we hit up the Wolf man, Bill Wolf.
Yeah, so I got a couple things. We've been so focused on, of course, the 2018 season starting up and how the team's been doing and the preseason, and it's kept us pretty busy. And of course, in the background and up until this point, we've been very focused on the MLS bid and the stadium and where it's going to be located. And everyone's been pretty excited by all this and following all that news. But there's some pieces of news that have just kind of fallen away and kind of lost attention. So I wanted to bring one of those back to the forefront, which is just to remind everybody that on top of everything else that FCC has been doing, right, trying to get the MLS bid secured, trying to figure out what stadium location they're going to be in, trying to get ready for the 2018 season, figuring out where their training facilities are going to be, getting a development academy potentially up and going, all these things that they've been focused on very visibly for us. They're also still involved in a World Cup bid for 2026. So, they have staff who are going to meetings and dealing with huge legal contracts and trying to talk through all this. And we are still in the running for Cincinnati to bring, part of the World Cup to Cincinnati and have this big circus that would be involved with that. So that's awesome. Just to remind everybody that's still going on and that this team is dealing with that as well in parallel with everything else they're doing. But new piece of news that I got today that I wanted to share with everybody is we are also involved in a Gold Cup bid. So for those of you who are familiar with the Gold Cup, right, it runs every 2 years, I believe. And the next one will be not this summer, but the summer of 2019. And FCC is involved in a bid for the Gold Cup. And if we would win that, we would be hosting games in Nippert Stadium.
Nice.
So that will be very, very exciting if that happens. So great news there. And then the other thing, touching off a little bit of what Boston just mentioned as far as the Sacramento game. There's no stream. Please go to the game, buy your tickets. But this isn't just going to be a preseason game. This is, of course, the last preseason game. But FCC is really trying to make this into a big deal. So So they really like people to come out. It's going to be the first game that the team wears their new kits in. So if you want to see the guys in blue and orange, come to the Sacramento game and get to see the new kits in action. But not only that, it's a charity event. So all net proceeds from this game, all the profits from this game will go towards the FCC Community Fund. That's the one that buys, the futsal courts and things like that, and renovates those in urban neighborhoods and things for kids. So it's a great charity, and obviously the more people who come, the more money that fund will generate, and the more good it can do for Cincinnati. And they're going to turn this into a big festival. I mean, they've talked like this isn't just going to be a game, but it's, sure, you come to the game, and then afterwards they want all the kids to come down on the field, and they're going to have face painting, and they're going to have pictures with the team, and they're going to sign autographs, and you're going to be able to play games with the players. And it's going to be, I guess, like a big, huge festival type of feel for the kids. So this is a great opportunity for families to get down there and really start to connect with the players and get the kids excited. So hopefully everybody can make it out to the Sacramento game. And it sounds like it's going to be an absolute blast.
So Bill buried the lead there with the Gold Cup news. So fill us in a little bit more. Is there a time frame? Is there a timetable? Like, what else can you tell us about this Gold Cup bid?
Not much. I don't really know when the decisions are going to be made at this point. It was just something mentioned today at the first FCC fan council meeting that we had. And, obviously they'll find out more, but it's, it will be basically, I think it's like in June or July, but it's summer. So It's going to be like June of 2019. And like I said, they're bidding for it in Nippert Stadium. I think, as Jeff would probably say to most things, he's very bullish about their chances. Not to give Jeff a hard time, but yeah, I think obviously, right now everybody in Cincinnati feels like we have a lot of momentum. We are Soccer City, USA, right? So how could they turn us down? Of course, we'll have the Gold Cup here, I'm reading into it, but obviously, we think we have good chances, and we'd love to see the Gold Cup and some of these big teams coming in here from the Caribbean and Mexico and Central America coming up and playing games against the U.S. So I don't,
there'd be a new pitch
awesome.
with that, right?
I'm pretty sure for the Gold Cup you'd have to do grass. Yeah. So and again, who knows what teams are playing and what games are playing and all that. I we don't know. So we're putting in the bid. We're trying to get people to accept us, and then after that we'll find out more. So. But no, I don't have a time frame. That's something we can try to find out more.
Still, that's a pretty big deal. Breaking some news here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So good job, Bill. Appreciate the work as always. I can't really top that because, that's some big news. But I will tell you this. Coming up on March 14th at 7 o'clock, we are going to be live at Bucketheads. Thanks to Tom Scott for helping us set it up. Join us for wing and craft beer specials. We'll also have some giveaway items to pass out from both Cincinnati Soccer Talk, Bucketheads, and Modelo. So make sure you go RSVP to that event over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Cincinnati Soccer Talk. It's going to be a good time over at Bucketheads. Again, that date, March 14th, coming up here at 7 p.m. Don't forget, you can rate and review our show on iTunes. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/iTunes is where you can do that. And, of course, you can always support the show. We really, really appreciate the support and the generosity that we've seen from FC Cincinnati fans throughout the past year. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. You want to get signed up and get registered and get supporting the show because the Growler Cup is going to be kicking right back up here soon. And I know Josef is very excited to be running that again here in 2018.
I just hope I do better, man. Put in all the spreadsheets and results and finished where I did. I mean, I didn't get the Sacco. That's all you really need. You want to be the best, but I'd rather be mediocre than be the worst. That is for sure, because you'll never hear the end of it. Even Brian, who won, still gets ribbed for being the worst the first year.
Well, I'm going to tell you this: the Growler Cup has grown significantly here this year. You're looking at least 65 entries.
Nice.
So no pressure, Josef, to stay on top of your game handling that this year. No, it'll be fun. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support is where you can get entered for the Growler Cup. It's a good time. And, of course, that you're helping us here at the show. So thank you very much for your generosity. That is going to do it. My thanks to Stu Riddle, head coach from Northern Kentucky University, the men's soccer program down there, for joining us this week here on CST. For Bill Wolf, Boston Brazel, and Joseph Sagai, I'm Subes, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we will see you all next week.